campers, welcome back to the Casual Car Camper. I'm your host Brian, and today we're going to continue my garage sale finds with the jump box I told you about. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to convert this so you can charge it using a standard trickle charger, because this unit did not come with the charging cable. The previous owner had lost it, but it wasn't a big deal for me because I've converted ones that the charging unit had burnt out before it didn't come with one. I'm going to show you how to do that today. So first of all, what's nice about this one is it's actually designed for you to change the battery out. It's got screws all along the back. So we're going to take my little electric screwdriver. Yep, these are number 2, number 1, and just pull all these screws out. Okay, campers, so I got all the back screws off, and we have a fairly good sized battery here. It's got some rust and corrosion on it that makes me a little nervous. It's on the screws, so this battery may be dead and I'll have to replace it, and usually the replacement batteries do come with screws. But before we get too far ahead of ourselves, I'm going to go get the adapters. Now, these batteries are color coded, and as a rule I usually go positive first, negative second, because your negative is your live, because that's where the electrons come from, and doing it reduces spark, and also especially accidental sparking. And on something like this it doesn't matter as much, but on a car, if you're hooked to negative, then you have electricity running through the positive. You could get a spark and possibly get injured, so I always try to have best practices at all times. So my charger is telling me to plug in the clamps, and still telling me to connect the clamps. Okay, so this battery is so dead, my trickle charger here is not even registering a connection to the clamps. I'm going to continue this video later. You will see a jump in time. Their interstate battery, privately run locations a lot of times have various jump box batteries. You can also get these if you don't have one near you. You can usually find the right battery online. But what I'm going to do first is I'm going to go get my sockets and wrenches, and we're going to pull this off, and I'm going to show you how to do that so you can pull the battery out. Then we're going to put everything together and just have the battery separate, because you'll need to know what battery you need for this to get it started. Okay, so we're seeing some rust here, and I just noticed the microphone was off. So all I did was to get this off was I used my ratchet set, my wrenches. These are ratcheting wrenches. My wrench set to figure out the right size, and then I grabbed a socket to go with it so I could pull off with the socket. This was 10 millimeter. If I usually start with the SAE just out of habit because I am in the United States. And then my first go-to on a small metric is a 10 millimeter. 10 millimeters are extremely common to be used on metric. That's why if you look on Facebook, you'll see a lot of memes about that missing 10 millimeter and everything else. So now that we've got this out, I do want to take a look at the rest of the electronics and make sure there's no other obvious issues. And I don't see any other corrosion besides on the battery. So what I'm going to do is when I take this to go buy the new battery, I'm going to clean out all this rust and all the corrosion on the inside, and then I'm going to spray everything with anti-corrosive spray for battery terminals, and then put it on the battery terminals as well. You will see it instantly, but it'll probably be a couple weeks before I have this battery because I have one place I go for all my batteries. Okay, so I will see you when the project is done. Okay, campers, we are back. I picked up a new battery. I was not able to get the battery that is designed for this unit, but the Interstate Battery owner and I went through and we found a good substitute. This is almost the same footprint. The poles are on the same side. Poles are slightly different, but this also actually is a little bit stronger. It's a 44 amp hour at 20 hours. The other unit was 34 amp hours at 20 hours. So it's a little bit stronger of a battery. This is designed for using in wheelchairs, but a lot of wheelchair batteries are using jump boxes so they can go back and forth. That's the advantage of talking to an expert that only deals with batteries. They can give you a little bit of tips, tricks, and cheats. So my total cost for everything between buying it and buying the battery and this is about $160. This jump box retails for in the $170 to $180 range, so I'm pretty close to the cost of a new unit. So my recommendation is if you do find a jump box, look online, find something similar, figure out if it's actually worth it if you have to get a battery and see what the internet price for the batteries are and make your decision from there. I just kind of went, ooh, I like this design. I kind of could use a heavy-duty jump box, and I could break up paying it over a couple weeks because I bought this one week and bought this another, and I like doing this stuff. So for me, it's worth it because I enjoy it and it gives me content. This might, looking at it, there's a few things I would like to change on it. So this might be a multi-episode unit. I might do some other upgrades and updates to this unit. But first, what we're going to do is, since it didn't come with the battery charger, I did buy a charge cable. And we're going to look and see if I have to drill a hole in this so I can charge it, or if I can get away with running this unit, running the cables through the area for the charging. Now, the only thing that I'm seeing an issue with right now is the fuse block. Now I can pull the fuse out, in theory. Pull the fuse out, and that will give me a little bit more room. And look at the area that all the charge indicators information is. This should slip through. So what we're going to do, inside here there's this circuit board, which I don't think you can see too well. But there's a circuit board in here. I'm going to pull the circuit board out, pull it out, and hopefully there's enough material, or I'll just have to take a knife or a Dremel tool and cut out material so I can feed through the new charger. Okay, campers, so I am looking, and this is the charge block is also connected to the master control for this entire unit. So I have two options. I can see if I can find a charger for this, since it's all part of the master control unit, or I can look in. I can just move this out of the way and find a place to secure it so all the control units are still in place. All the control units are still in place, but I have a place to run through, and I really like the idea of having the ability to charge this with a trickle charger or if I'm out camping, I can run this off of a solar battery as long as I have everything right. Okay, one thing you want to check when you're putting this in where you won't be able to see the wires is see if there's anything that denotes your negative and positive cable. This charger, it has a white line on your positive, so I know this is my positive, this one here. On some of my solar panel wires, it's set up so that the negative would be going to the positive and vice versa based on the way they interlock. So I know to be careful when I'm setting up my solar panels, not necessarily going with red positive, black negative, but what will not crosswire my batteries. Okay, so now we're going to go back to the front. So the wires fit through, but this unit won't. It's just too big. Okay, campers, after inspecting this for a few minutes, I have decided to just put it back together, and I'm going to tuck the new charge cable on the inside. The reason I'm doing this is, one, if I come across the charger for this, or I look up the specs and realize I have a charger that will run this, I can use the factory charger, but I also have the ability to charge it anywhere using solar panels if I leave the charger on the inside. What I've done in the past is I've drilled a hole in the back that allows me to charge. So I might do that, or and then the wire sticks out. I'm thinking about trying to upgrade that idea a little bit. What I'm thinking about doing is having it so just this part sticks out somehow, and then sealing this in so that only the battery sticks out, or just enough so that I can tape it up like this, or have it stick out the top here, like at this angle, so I can just plug in the cables like that. Basically where it says read the owner's manual. I'm thinking about running it right out through there. But for tonight, time being, we're going to rig it up. So I have to just drop the back battery off. It's only like 10 or 12 screws, and I usually have a couple screwdrivers with me wherever I go. So, what I'm doing is I'm laying this down, and then just gotta get this seat. And this is labeled black and red, so I know which one's which because the wires are all labeled black and red, as well as our charge cable. So the next thing I do is I take the large washer, put it on the outside, run it through the cables for the jump box. Then I'm going to hook up my battery cable, and then the last thing I'm doing is I'm going to leave the lock washer up because there's just so much here. And actually, I started with the one closest to me, but I like to do the negative because that's your electron source last, because you're more likely to get a spark if you have, while you're working on your positive, if your negative is connected, where if you have your negative disconnected while you're working your positive, you're less likely to spark if you hit a piece of metal or you accidentally connect the terminals to something. So it's just a safety precaution. I know the electrical engineers out there and the electricians will say that, it doesn't matter, or as long as you interrupt the circuit, you've interrupted the circuit, but it matters if you're working in an area where you can create a ground, because that's basically your positive, it's a ground. So if you disconnect your electrons from your negative, it's a little safer. Okay, real time, that took me about a minute to connect the terminals. We have our charger hooked back up. Looks like this battery might be completely drained. Oh, the light was on. Nope, the light's on, so it works. And what's kind of cool, this unit has a voltmeter built in. And it's showing between 12 and 13 volts, which isn't a full charge, but it means it works. One nice thing I like about this unit, which I recommend if you're getting a jump box, look for, is a power switch so that your terminals aren't live all the time. They're only live when you want them to be. Just when you're jumping a car, make sure you turn it on before you tell them to try cranking it. You luck bad if you forget. Trust me, I've been there. Okay, so what I'm going to do, because this did not come 100% charged, is I'm going to get my charger and we're going to see it exactly how much charge it needs, because I have a digital charger with a reader. I'll be right back. Okay, campers, I am back with my digital charger. It's telling me to connect my clamps. So what we're going to do now is we're just going to connect this. And what I'm trying to do, unfortunately it's not working, is making sure that the white stripes line up, because on both these units I know the white means it's the positive. So it's now analyzing. That's one thing I like about these little Craftsman digitals. A few manufacturers make the digital unit, is that they analyze it, make sure your battery's good, and then they're telling you how much charge. This has 95% charge, which is actually pretty good. So what we're going to do is we're going to leave this for a little while. We're going to let it charge up, and then we're going to put it all back together, and I'll have a working jump box. Okay, campers, we are fully charged. It took about half an hour. Not too bad. It was only 5%. So what we're going to do, we're going to tug our wires into our jump box, and then we're going to line it back up. There we go, nice and in. And I don't know if I have all the screws for this. I may have lost a couple. What I'm going to do, because I want to make sure this sits in well, I'm going to get each of these screws started. I'm going to use a pattern. I'm using a X pattern, starting in one corner, going to the opposite corner. Then going directly across. Then coming down to that opposite corner. Then I'm going to go at the two midpoints and then do these two sides. And I will be back in a minute once it's all put together. Okay, campers, we are all set. I have my jump box all set up, fully charged. Yeah, it's reading at 13 amps now. The light is an incandescent bulb. I'm sure it's replaceable somehow. And the plastic cover is really kind of messed up, so I am at the very least going to pull this apart, clean it up. I'm going to see if I can get a replacement bulb, LED bulb that will fit into the same socket, get myself a little more light, and clean it up, and so that the plastic's not causing as much of an issue. So there'll be some like little cleaning projects. If I do anything major on this unit, I will do an update video. If I do find a LED bulb to replace the old incandescents, I'll let you know, because there's a lot of these type of bulbs in a lot of different devices, and turning that to LED, which is much brighter and has a little bit of blue light so it doesn't bother your night vision as well much, would be helpful.
Alright campers, thank you for watching. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, please leave a message down in the comment section below or contact me on Facebook, The Casual Car Camper on Facebook. Link in the description below. And remember, as always, as long as you're having fun, you're doing camping right.